Hey, what is up guys, and welcome back to the channel. So in today's video I'm bringing you a brand new money making method for Gran Turismo 7. This is featuring the Audi R18 TDI 2011, obviously a Le Mans machine. So the other day I made a buyer's guide for this car, and in the comments a YouTube subscriber by the name of Silverback Sim said that he used this for the Sardinia 800 event, and I'd never actually seen anyone mention this car when it came to money grinding. So I kind of felt like I had to, go and test it out, and that I did. So if you want to buy this car for yourself, obviously there's a trophy related to it, so many of you have probably already bought it. Basically it's 3 million from the Audi dealership, around the same price as I believe the Toyota hypercar. So I kind of wanted to compare them and see where they kind of come out. Obviously the Toyota hypercar very well thought of when it comes to the Sardinia grinding method. So yeah, for me it was just kind of looking into where the Audi kind of compares to that. So there's actually two separate tunes you can use for this method. The first one is by YouTube user Force for T. Just make sure to pause it whenever you want to do it. Well, if you want to do this one or the next one, which I'll show you. But yeah, kind of pause throughout. Just the fully customizable racing transmission and a power restrictor is needed, as well as the hard tyres. Personally for me it was a little bit too underpowered for the straights. I kind of didn't find it too fun to get down the straights, so I kind of played about with it and came up with my own kind of settings for it, which I will show you now. So these are the settings I came up with after playing around for a while. So make sure you've got the racing hard tyres on, obviously a great set of tyres for the longer races. Make sure you've got power restrictor, obviously set it to what it says. The fully customizable racing transmission, and make sure you put the front downforce to minimum and the rear downforce to max. So it's kind of obvious by now, but for those that might not know, the event we're going to be using is in Europe, and it's going to be the Sardinia road track, not the windmills. That is a dirt track obviously, so yeah, just a heads up. And it's the 800 pp event that we're going to be using, the World Touring Car 800. So a bit of a mixed up strategy for this one, to kind of get it to work kind of for me. It was a little bit more, I'd say, tactical than basically a straightforward sprint to the finish with a few pit stops. So to start off with, I left it in fuel mix 1, set it to power, obviously max power. The main thing to do as well, just a heads up, is set the AI to easy, because any mistakes in these events costing yourself like around about 25 minutes or so is fairly annoying if obviously you don't get the max money from the event. Just a heads up as well for those that kind of might not have seen one of these videos before, the only way you'll lose your clean race bonus is if you overtake under yellow flags. Apart from that, it's fair game, do what you want with the AI. Honestly, don't worry about them. But for me personally, I suggest kind of getting past them as quick as you can, and when it comes to lapping, obviously try not to get caught up behind them too much. They kind of run the same line pretty much every race, so once you've done it a few times you'll kind of learn the pattern they make. The main thing is at the start, and sometimes when you're lapping them they'll be grouped up, and that is when they kind of try and overtake each other, and it can get a little bit unpredictable. Like you can see here, we're going to try and get down the inside. A little bit brave on that one really, but as you can see, we're just going to use the superior power of the Audi just to kind of get up the inside and clear this bigger bunch, and get after I'd say the front of the pack, which is a little bit kind of broken away from the the big cluster towards the middle and the back of the pack. But that is going to be the first lap. As you can see, we're just going to keep the fuel mix at 1 and basically head for the finish line there. So lap 3, and we're kind of just overtaking the front bunch of the car. So as you can see, when we've got it on easy and we're just grinding money, by about lap 2 or 3, you're pretty much guaranteed to be up behind these guys. The Dodge Viper, which pretty much always leads the early stages, is the first car to pit, and I believe it does a 3-stop strategy. So as you can see, we're going towards the end of lap 5 and we're already on the back of the Dodge here. The back end just breaking away a little bit. Very controllable car, but just note as well, we've put the power down to 4. This is to kind of get into a more fuel saving mode. For the first stint you're going to want to kind of play about with your fuel mixers. with the last stint being the more flat out, more full on stint. So start of lap 4, and we're going to finally make that move for the lead, and pretty much when you pass this car there is no looking back. The Dodge Viper obviously going to be the final bastion of hope between you and obviously basically winning this event. There's pretty much no looking back after that. The Dodge Viper will then take its first pit stop at the kind of end of lap 4. I believe it does free stop pretty much every time. I think the AI is kind of set to when they pit. Don't quote me on that. Sometimes it can seem a little bit random, but I believe they're kind of programmed to pit at a certain time. As you can see, the majority of the grid though will then pit at the end of lap 5 onto lap 6. The reason I'm just showing you this is, just to give you a heads up if you're playing at the high difficulties as to when the AI will, basically go in and take their pit stops. So on to lap 7, and this is where I actually put the fuel mix to a more lean mode at fully 6. This is because I kind of wanted to extend this stint and kind of get the car to go as long as it can before we finally pit. As you can see, onto lap 8, and we still have a full lap of fuel left. Just a note here, if cars are leaving the pit lane, just be careful of them. They will kind of pretty much act like you don't exist. They'll either, if you're exiting the pit lane, they'll tumble into you, or if they're exiting the pit lane, they may just kind of come across. They can be a little bit unpredictable at times. So end of lap 8, and we're going to take our first pit stop. This is our one stop for the whole race. You are not going to change your tyres. The only thing you're going to do is fill the car to full, basically get a full tank of fuel, and away we go. So not too much to really talk about when it comes to pit stopping and stuff. There's no kind of compound changes and such. It's just fuel and off you go. Another thing I'm going to note though, when it comes to coming out of the pits, just be very careful and keep an eye on your track map, or have a look behind you for the AI. Sometimes they will be absolutely flying down that straight, and like I said, they don't act like you're there, and you can pretty much end up in that barrier at turn 1. So yeah, just a little heads up there. You're going to run this on fuel mix 3 for the first lap, and then as you come across to lap 10, bump it up to a max power, so back to fuel mix 1, and it's going to stay like that until the end of the race. So yeah, just keep on pushing now. So I did kind of talk about traffic earlier. If you kind of get them packed up like this, just kind of learn the line they're going to take, and just kind of make a move for it. Obviously when you're grinding, it's all about time spent over a long time, and it's all about maximizing your money, and getting caught up behind the AI is a bit of a nightmare. You kind of just want to time it, use them as a little bit of a slipstream, and if you catch them on the straight, even better, because she'll just kind of pull away and fly away. As you can see, I'm going to do. So as you can see, the fuel consumption is still going pretty well. Just I don't know if you're going to notice here on lap 11, this is just a heads up, I did make a bit of a mistake. It was pretty much just me being a bit silly. I kind of downshifted a little bit too quickly, got the accelerator a bit too quick, and spun up the rears. So I did kind of lose a bit of time there, but as you can see, we're on a consistent 1:40s at that point. So this car very, very capable of putting the laps in. As we go around for the final time, lap 15 out of 15. The car consistently in the 1:40s now, so very usable. No need to kind of watch that fuel, and we're pretty much going to time it to perfection really. That first lap of running fuel mix 3 when obviously leaving the pits, coming in handy. Last few corners, as you can see, we're catching a little bit of traffic again, but we don't really need to worry about them, as we just go basically for a straight sprint to the finish line. One thing to note about this car, it's very, very stable. There's no massive things to worry about. Obviously the error was pretty much my fault, just being a bit silly with the gears, cost myself a little bit of overall time. As we're going to come across the line, there we go. So first place, kind of easy going, I would pretty much say, for this whole race. So let's have a look at the statistics. A 26-minute one. Obviously I lost a few seconds when I spun, so I'd say it's pretty much under a 26-minute. A fastest lap of 1:40.0, so not really a shabby lap. And as you're going to see, 727,500 in around about just under 26 minutes. So not too bad, and pretty on par with some of the other money methods in this game. So yeah, no massive complaints really, not too bad. So that is the guide for our car. I've not really seen covered and never really seen mentioned for a money making method. So big shout out to those who, the guy that, recommended it, and shout out for Force for T for his tune. I would kind of recommend this method if you kind of want to change it up and use a car for the money method that nobody really does use. Apart from that, I wouldn't say there's a massive advantage to using this over some of the other cars. Just to, a bit of a side note, if anyone mentions about using the hypercar method or the Scudo and such, I've already covered them a long time ago. So you don't need to keep telling me to cover them. Obviously, my main thing here is to get them tunes and kind of test some of the cars that people overlook, and obviously try and find the best money method overall. So thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers guys, peace.